Hello! It's a bit breezy today, so hopefully you can hear me. It's Saturday the 28th of May 2022 and I am here on the banks of the River Don in the Upper Don Valley in Sheffield. And today I want to talk about developments in the city. One particular development that's happening around here. Now, when I originally started this channel was going to be all about Sheffield, developments in Sheffield, urban regeneration, environmental issues to do with the city, trying to show the city in a positive light while at the same time being constructively critical to try and improve what we already have. So it's not resting on your laurels and saying that's good enough. It's like saying, okay, that scheme seems to be okay, but how can we make it better? And then when you've made it better, say, okay, now we've made it better, can we actually take it another step further and make it better again? So you end up with a development that is just absolutely fantastic and out of this world. And I think one of my earliest videos where I kind of highlight that, if you go right back, scroll right down my YouTube page, is in the Peace Gardens and how that was created and developed. The quality of that garden, of that landscape, is just really, really good. And there are practical as well as aesthetic reasons why that's the case. But here we are in a very historical part of Sheffield. So we're just on the edge of the Kelham Island area, which is kind of over there. There's a lot of development happening over there. But this is more kind of Neepsend. But the whole area from kind of Shalesmoor, Neepsend, Kelham Island, the history of this place is very much to do with tool making. Rather than the Lower Don Valley, which historically has been about mass production of steel, especially stainless steel, the Upper Don Valley, places like Osborne Mushet, Presto Tools, which used to be called Easterbrook Allcard, these are all places that are famous for tool manufacturing. So we're in a very historic part of Sheffield as far as industry is concerned, and I try and link, when I'm talking about new developments or when I'm trying to give my views about new developments, it's always about trying to take the best of what we've had in the past and try and incorporate it into modern developments so that you maintain a sense of place that is unique to that particular location. And I think it's vitally important that if you create a sense of place, and if a sense of place is important to you, then it has a certain uniqueness about it. Otherwise, what is the point of it? If one place just looks like another place, then how can you feel any attachment for one particular place? You might as well just go and live anywhere. And so I think it's important that when a city becomes known for something like Sheffield did in the Victorian times, from really the early 1800s right through to the kind of 1950s and 1960s, it grew exponentially. The Victorian era was when a lot of the buildings were put up. A lot of the factories, these factories here are probably around about 100 years old, I would guess, or factory buildings rather. They're not used as factories anymore. You want to protect, if you're going to show respect and show a kind of deference to the history of the place, then what you do, you maintain and you protect those buildings that were created. As long as they are physically decent buildings, you protect those buildings from the time when the city grew and from the time when the city became well known for whatever it's well known for. So if you go up to Bradford, for example, obviously you've got a Saltaire mill protected there, and the whole history of what that mill did, and that's a fundamental part of Bradford. Same for Cadbury's around Birmingham, and other places that have done a good job of protecting their heritage. And so we are in Sheffield. So, as I say, here in Sheffield, it's very much a case of knock down the old and build new, because it's going to provide some jobs and it's going to provide services, but you lose just as much if that's your main focus or your only focus. You lose just as much, if not more, than what you actually gain. Because then you just create another anywhere place where people come and go and they have no affection for it or little affection for it, and they just, what is the point of being there and making a place better and improving a place? So this is a place that's got a lot of new buildings going on, some of which are very, very cheap and tacky, but they are designed in a way that fits in with the environment. They are industrial looking buildings, so that's a kind of positive thing. But I think I just want to go around the corner in a second, but I just want to reinforce what I've just said, because I can talk a lot and waffle on and go off on a tangent. Fundamentally, you protect a city, you protect the history, the heritage of a place by protecting the developments, the buildings, the infrastructure at the time when it grew the most and became famous for whatever it became famous for. And that becomes set then in stone, indefinitely, in perpetuity, for hundreds, for thousands of years, regardless of the political needs and wants of any particular time. That doesn't mean that you can't improve a place or that you can't have new developments. What it means is that you have to protect the best of what you have. And then you have to make sure that any new developments pay deference to that heritage and enhance that heritage and create an even better environment than what's gone on before. I don't know if you're noticing, there's quite a lot of swifts around. I'm not sure if the swifts or swallows on the river here. That's great to see. So bearing that in mind of what I've said about this area being an area for tool manufacturing, and also later on also an area for brewing, although I think that came a lot later. Just round the corner here, I think that was was a part of Stone's Brewery. I think, I might be wrong, but I think that might have been the offices for Stone's Brewery. But Stone's Brewery, or Cannon Brewery I think as it was known, was on this site here. Now this site is actually up for development and for housing, so really you're extending the Kelham area and the housing. You see this riverside housing there, some more units here which could be turned into housing. There's a mixture of still of industry along there, but this area is already due, I think, as planning permission for housing. And so that's a positive, but I think this is a location where we can do something really, really special. And now anybody who knows me or has maybe watched some of my past videos, I'm not a fan of high-rise buildings for lots of reasons. I think it's without doubt, when you get a lot of high-rise buildings, especially housing, that you don't form stable relationships in high-rise buildings. They're very much for transient populations such as students, maybe old people who are looking to settle down and start families, don't want to bring a family up in a high-rise. So that's why, one of the reasons why I'm generally speaking against high-rise. But what I've said is that if you have high-rise buildings, then one, make sure that they are outstanding buildings in some way, that they are relatively unique and it's not just a rectangular block with a load of cladding on it. Ideally, do not build high-rise buildings, anything above 5 stories. I think I can just get across here, just a quick run. Do not build anything above, so we're on Rutland Road here, above 5 stories in the city centre, unless it's a really, really important building, a town hall, city hall, some kind of public building, some kind of ethic, religious structure, something like that. If you want to build high-rise, build your high-rise around the ring road. So actually, the high-rise around the ring road, whether it happens to be offices or it happens to be housing, really provides an anchor for the city centre. And therefore you get students, you get people who want, like students, you get people who want to be close to the city, but to be able to quickly get from one place to another. Again, high-rise building for offices, people who want to get from one place to another very, very quickly. The edge of a city centre on the ring road is the place for your high-rise buildings. And then you can find certain locations that, like this one here, that actually, if properly designed, could be quite decent high-rise structures. Now, I'm not sure if you can tell by how I'm walking around this site, but this site is on a triangle. So that's Rutland Road there, and then we're on Boylan Street here. Let me just cross over here. There's the old railway from Manchester to Victoria, what used to be Victoria, which I would like to see open again. So this piece of land is a triangle piece of land. The great thing is, if you're going to build high-rise here, which is what I'm proposing, you're not shading out a load of housing, you're not shading out a load of businesses. Parkwood Springs is up there. So you're on a site, you're close to a site that's been countrified. It's a kind of country park in this, just on the edge of the city centre. So that's a nice green area, despite there being still a lot of industry around here. But you can see it's quite a big site. Possible more area there for more housing, possibly, because again you've got a nice green backdrop there. think this, let's have a look inside here. Well, that's certainly empty. So again, that's this whole site looks ripe for housing. So I think those are offices up there. There's a skate park here. Kids seem to like to dump the trainers for some reason. The house skate park. Street, and then this is Neepsend Lane. So there's a Gardener's Rest there. There's a nice eatery there that people go in and enjoy. Heist Brew. So there's a lot of kind of upcoming bars and restaurants in this location, all linking into the Kelham Island area. But just let's stand back here. So that's the triangle of land there. That road there leads up to, or what could lead up to, the ski village at Parkwood Springs, or what used to be the ski village. And again, there are still plans to do something up there. I think they've fallen through for the moment, but it seems like developments seem to stall because there's a lack of footfall. You don't get the footfall until you get the housing, and then the two seem to not happen unless one of them happens, and so one of them never happens, so the other one doesn't happen. It just seems to be in this bit of limbo. But what I think would be ideal here is if you had 3 towers at 3 corners, that corner there, this corner here, and the corner up at the top end where we've just walked round. And I think those 3 towers if I can find what I'm looking for, because this area, although not this site, as I said, this site was very much a brewery site, nevertheless the whole environment around here historically has been more to do with manufacturing tools than making beer or alcohol. Is if you have 3 towers, you could build 3 towers something like that on the 3 corners of this site. And maybe the tallest tower could be at the northern or northeastern side of the site. The smallest tower at the southwestern side of the site, and then the middle tower maybe here. And then in between you could have really quite nice landscape gardens joining the 3 towers up, a little bit of low-rise housing or low-level apartments. Because we're so close to the river, you can actually dig down for a car park, maybe a couple of floors of car park underneath, but connected to the river so that when the river floods, the car park, or at least the lower level of the car park, could act as to help with the flood alleviation around the site. So yeah, there's lots of possibilities of doing something really, really good and really, really unique here. Let's just walk along here a bit. So yeah, oops. So let me get my 3 drills. So the smallest tower would go there because that's the southern part of the site, and south, yeah, it's about the southern part of the site. So that would be your smallest tower there. Put that away. It's like somebody's got similar ideas to me. Medium tower goes there on the kind of northwest side of the site. And then your tallest tower goes over there on the northeastern or the eastern stroke northern side, eastern side of the site. Access into the car park will be along Boylan Street there. So that's quite a quiet road compared to this road, which links in to the actual main Penistone Road is just up there, but this kind of links back into the ring road further on. So this is quite a busy road, but it's not a main road like Penistone Road. So yeah, and then obviously if you've got, say, I don't know, the tallest building there, say what we've got St Paul's in Sheffield, which I think is 32 stories tall. So if we have something around about that height, say 30 stories there, 20 stories there, and say 10, maybe 15 stories there, say 10 stories. In a design, something like that really links in with the history. So if you want to Google spiral high-rise buildings or spiral towers, you'll find quite a few. There are already quite a few being built in various parts of the world. Where better, so you might think, well, you're just creating something that's elsewhere in the world. The problem is, this goes back to what I said before about if you build a spiral tower in Abu Dhabi, there's no symbolism there. There's no reason for it to be there. It's just somebody coming up with a design that's a little bit different, a little bit quirky. But there's no cultural bedrock of that being symbolic of what, I don't know, Abu Dhabi or Los Angeles or wherever it might be. There's no symbolism there. It doesn't link to anything in the city's past. Whereas if we create something that looks like a tool, like somewhere that was famous in this city for creating something like a tool, I mean, you know, that's just a drill bit. So it doesn't have to be that. It could be any kind of tool. You could even build a tower in the shape of a keg or cask or whatever you want to call it, for, you know, as this site used to brew beer. So the options are there, but the point being that don't just build something bland that could be in any city that when I drive past here I'm really not interested in looking at, or I don't want to see, or is just this beige kind of monotonous, could be anywhere kind of development. Let's create something that's really fantastic, that can really put this area on the map and can bring in a kind of density, population density that's a benefit to the entire city. So that's 25 minutes now, so I think I've said just about all I need to say, so I'll leave it there. Bye for now.